Hey everyone, I'm here with Joe.
Hello.
He's come all the way from Texas for this episode of Get to Know. We are in fact in Rich's house, so if you hear anybody screaming, it will be Rich or Luke or someone like that. Please ignore any background noise. But how are you doing today, Joe?
I'm good. Just happy to be, back in the UK for a little while. Been good. Good to see everyone.
Yes. Well, let's get right into it. You have chosen Broken Sword, The Shadow of the Templars.
Yeah.
Now, I've never played a Broken Sword game. I think I was it was a bit before my time.
Mm-hmm. Before my time as well, so.
But it's like a point-and-click adventure thing, right?
Yeah.
And how many of them are there?
So there is 5.
Okay. So did you start at the beginning of this series, or where did you come into it?
I came in at the beginning. So it was a hard choice for me for getting to know between this and Monkey Island.
Okay.
Both obviously point-and-click games. But I chose Broken Sword because this is probably the first one I played, and I played Monkey Island at a later date. But I love the adventure thing. So my dad was a detective, so I think I kind of bought into that whole...
I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I think I bought into that whole, knowing how to do things and learning how to do stuff. But I mean, it was really because my aunt was a PC gamer and I never was. But she was playing this at the time and said, "Why don't you take a look at it?" So I did, and kind of started. And I love point-and-click games. I really was upset with their demise with the new console generation. But
yeah. Did you ever play Myst?
No, that's one of the few games I never got around to playing. And I think the only reason I didn't play that is because, whereas with this and Monkey Island, there's a lot of comedy. It's much more fun, and you play characters that you can see, whereas Myst is more first person. You don't see the character you're playing. But I know that's actually one of the best point and clicks. It's something I really should go back and play at some point. So
okay, so what? I guess you kind of touched on this a bit, but what is it about the Broken Sword games in general? Maybe why did you pick this over, say, Monkey Island?
Well, for starters, it holds up a lot better than Monkey Island at this point. But I really like Broken Sword because the whole thing with Broken Sword is that it's really good about having a story that's very intertwined. So it's a very small. You start with a very small piece of a puzzle. And instead of you finding the puzzle piece that fits, you have the piece that fits and you're putting it into the rest of the puzzle.
Okay.
And it really ties in. So obviously we talked about before in different things about how I did history at university and have a big interest in history. The Broken Sword has a lot of links to history in that respect. Mm-hmm. So this one's called Shadow of the Templars. It relates to the Knights Templar. Okay. And their actions in Paris. That's something that really caught my eye. It felt very much like a historical detective story, which really kept me going. But then it has other elements of conspiracy and stuff in it, which was really good. And it's uncovering this wonderful tapestry of a story piece by piece.
Would you say? I've just had this thought. People say games like Heavy Rain are more like interactive movies.
Yes,
I kind of get the feel from watching this. I kind of get that same feel.
Yes.
Would you say that's a fair...
I'd say that's fair. I say that a lot of you don't make decisions that alter choice again. The game is set. It's a narrative.
Right.
And you play a part in it. Where it differs from Heavy Rain is very much go here, do this. Mm-hmm. And you'll see me in a minute struggle with trying to do things. So whereas Heavy Rain is do this, and it's very obvious what you need to do. It just guides you through.
Yeah.
Here it leads you more to, hey, you have, this tissue and this thing... work out what to do with them.
Yeah.
You find the evidence, and it's you have to ask every person with this tissue, and then it starts off a whole question of events, and you have to think about more things yourself. So every now and then they will kind of throw things up, but it doesn't really affect anything.
I was never very good at these kind of games. Did you ever play Phoenix Wright on the DS?
No, I don't have a DS, but something I know, again, it's one of those games that as soon as I hear about it, I really want to play it, but it requires me to buy new hardware, which is difficult.
Right. So this is obviously on PC at the moment. Were you a big PC gamer?
Mainly back in the day, I was a PC gamer because for this sort of thing. Because at the time, there was obviously when I was growing up, there was the SNES was the thing that we had in our house, or the Super Nintendo, depending on where you come from. But I really like this sort of storyline, and that's why it was always a PC game. So a lot of the stuff like this and strategy games I've always played on PC. They don't feel right with the controller. I mean, even with the with Breaking Sword, the adaptation of the third and the fourth, sorry, not the fourth, the third, was adapted for consoles very much so.
Yeah.
With three dimensions as opposed to a point and click interface, it still didn't feel right. And I think they realised that with the fifth one because now they're going back to a point and click.
Okay.
But when I first played this, it was on disc, and this is actually the Steam version I'm playing right now. So I think I bought the game 4 times because I had it on. Yeah, I must have. Yeah, because I had it on disc for the PC. Yeah. Then I had it for the PlayStation because it was released on the original PlayStation when it came out. Then it was on the iOS, and then bought on Steam again.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I think it came free on like one of their Christmas things. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the thing, like, and this and Breaking Sword 2 are both on the iOS. And like I said, obviously they weren't pushing any of the limits, but it's all about story. And I've spoken multiple times before how story is what grips me in the game. So
right, yeah. So I was going to go on to that. You, from talking to you, I know you seem to like story-driven games. And I guess would gameplay not be as important? Because some people, like, the gameplay is everything to them, and that's why they play a game. Mm-hmm. But I am definitely, I know from myself, I'm more forgiving for a game if it's got like a really good story.
Yeah.
Like, I do not care in Metal Gear Solid 4 that there's cutscenes that are really long because I really love the story, and that if that's how they want to tell it, then fine. But I mean, what's your attitude to it?
I'm the same as you. Like, I love Metal Gear Solid 4 for wrapping up the franchise, and everyone complained about how you don't really play the game. But to me, I didn't mind that. I mean, people talk about the control issues, and then they talk about the same thing with other games. I mean, the best example for me is that Halo and Call of Duty are very similar in terms of their multiplayer, but I'll always choose a Halo game over a Call of Duty game because the storyline to Halo is much more depth.
Okay, yeah.
And they're comparable games. But with story, I always would go story over anything else. That's why I love it when I see games that have these huge sweeping stories. I think that's why I like RPGs more, because the stories tend to be much more broad than other genres.
Yeah.
And now point and clicks kind of died its death, had its heyday, and it's going away. So. Yeah.
Okay. On a slightly different topic, what is your earliest gaming memory?
Gaming memory. Yeah, it was other than handheld like weird games that was given as a kid. The oldest memory is probably me and my brother playing Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo together.
Okay.
That was a lot of fun. I mean, him used to play all the time, and it'd always be strange because we'd always start and then have to go back and start again because he wouldn't want me to play on his save, so we'd play together. But then he wouldn't save it, and then we'd have to go back and play the same thing. So we've been playing that first level maybe 10 or 15 times, but obviously didn't care. In terms of PC, the game I remember is a really weird boxing game that was very polygony.
Yes.
And you created your own boxer. It was really odd, but I can't even remember the name of it. But it was a game that I remember me and my brother played because you could play on the same keyboard and we play against each other as well.
Right.
But my brother, who's 9 years older than me, was the one who really pushed me into playing more games, and now he doesn't play as many and I play a lot more, obviously. So.
Okay. And I get the sense now that you're more of an Xbox guy. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair to say.
When did that happen?
So I used to be a PC gamer, but when I was obviously younger, I couldn't keep up with the speed. So I think the first example I remember having of being put off by PC game was, I think it was a Command and Conquer. I think it was Generals. Because I used to be a big RTS guy, and I couldn't run Generals on my PC.
Yeah, that annoyed me.
Yeah.
Well.
So I couldn't run it. So I just kind of was like, okay, but I had a PlayStation as well, the original PlayStation, and that was the first console that was mine. Like, it wasn't my brother's, it was mine.
Yeah.
So I started playing more stuff on that, and that's the way it just kind of happened. And then I went from PlayStation to PlayStation 2, and then I also went PlayStation 3. And then when PlayStation had the outage, when they got hacked, I wanted to play an online game but couldn't. So I ended up picking up. I had an Xbox 360 as well because I just happened to buy one, and I was playing Reach. And then since then, it's just been. I much prefer Xbox's interface, and I prefer the online system and everything. You don't have to pay for it. I mean, I think you get better service because you have to pay.
Yeah, no, I agree. I started on PS3. And I was like, yeah, this is fine. I mean, I got annoyed a lot at drop games and hosting problems.
Yeah.
But I was like, yeah, it's cool. But then I went to Xbox, and it was just so much better and more stable, and
Yeah.
I was really happy to pay for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've mentioned this in a previous video. I prefer the kind of feel of the Xbox interface to the PS3, just as a personal preference.
No, I agree on that. I think Xbox is much more user friendly than the AP, or used to be. I'm not sure. I haven't played PS3 in a long time, but PS3 used to be very technical in its interface with the swiping across and having to know where exactly to find things, as opposed to Xbox is like it has like links and tabs as where you need to go.
So going along with the whole Xbox thing, you have quite an achievement score. Well, out of all of us, I would say you probably have the most.
I think I probably do for the length of time my gamer tag's been active, because obviously when I moved to the US my gamer tag went down.
Yeah. Okay.
So I know people have more than me,
Well,
but
yeah.
I mean I didn't come onto Xbox until Halo Reach.
Right.
So that's the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because I've been on Xbox for a while and I've only got like 17,000 or something like that.
Yeah.
But you seem to be more of a completionist type gamer.
That's the thing. I have to be careful what games I start playing, because I need to know I can finish them.
Right.
So I've actually talked about before how BioShock is one of the games I've had to skirt around for a long time. I finally picked it up because one of the achievements is so hard that there's no way I'm going to be able to do it. But with Infinite coming out, and I know Infinite is possible to get all 1,000, not with DLC, but just the base game. I also like to see the 1,000 of 1,000 on my achievements. So that's the thing. It's not always the best thing in the world, because like I've said before, it paralyzes you when you want to play the game. It's like, I want to play a game, but if I start playing that game, I now have to finish it.
I get that feeling as well. I know, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that's why I tend to try and pick my games when I know the time sinks there'll be. So I know that BioShock is going to be 15 to 24 hour sync, so it's just like, okay, just need to account for that in my life. So.
Yeah. I mean, I go through phases where I'm like super obsessed with getting all the achievements, and then I get like annoyed because I'm not playing games because I want the achievements, and then I kind of just go off it for a bit.
Yeah.
But Microsoft have been putting out mobile games. Like I've got one called Wordament, which is like a Boggle type game. And that's on my iPhone, and it ties to my Xbox account.
Yeah.
And it has achievements. So, but it's weird because they're only 50 points, but then when you complete it, it comes up as a completed game. But I don't really feel that that's fair. Like I barely did any work to get this 50-point completed game. How do you feel about the balance between full retail games and then like Xbox Live Arcade titles and now these mobile titles? Like I personally think there should be more of a definition between them.
Yeah, and the thing is that the Xbox Live Arcades used to be 200, and then they became 400 standard around the time Minecraft was released. I think it actually was Fable Heroes, I think was the name of the game, that I think finally broke the 200 point barrier without DLCs. But I agree with you on that aspect, that like you can get like a completed game, which frustrates me, because I mean I know I'm getting 1,000 points, so obviously I have more of a score, but it's frustrating when you think that you get to do that and you get a completed game, whereas I spend 25 hours in the game, unless I play Avatar, which I have actually got Avatar last time, and 1,000 pointed. But
I'd be worried if you hadn't 1,000 pointed that game.
Yeah, that's hard not to do. But it does frustrate me a little bit that you get, so someone, for example, could just play games for Windows Live and they could have like 30 completed titles, and it took them 30 hours, where I get one complete title for 30. But I mean, it's the system. I know it's offsetting between completed titles and game score, and they don't sit independently. Like I like to say, hey, I have X many completed titles, but I also like the game score aspect of it, because they don't take them separately, take them together. I have like 7 completed games, but I have 15,000 points. So that means there was essentially 8 games I didn't complete at least. Yeah. So
okay. Is there anything else that you want to add to our conversation, because we kind of got to wrap up around there?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I can really say is that, I mean, point and clicks was something that really pulled me into gaming, and it put me into another genre, but it's something that I think everyone has their own gaming. We talked about everyone has their own gaming history.
Yeah.
And for me, it's just, I like to play games, and the achievement thing is a nice add-on. But at the end of it, everyone, even though people think of me as like that achievement guy, I'm not I just like to play games. I just like to have something to show for it at the end of it. So.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us. This has been Get to Know, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.